going?
It's not going very good at all.
Aw, what's wrong, Pete? Maybe I can help you out a little bit. What's going on?
I don't understand. Why do I need to know about text structure? I keep getting these questions and I don't understand.
I understand, Pete. I really do. But here's the thing. Text structure impacts everything. It impacts how you read, how you think about the reading. It's very important. It may not seem like it right now, but believe it or not, you're going to need it for the rest of your life. For instance, think about the election and when presidents are up giving their speeches. You need to be able to recognize how they're structuring their speeches so you can tell what they're trying to communicate and also spot some of the things they may be trying to do either positively or negatively. If you don't understand how the structure is, you won't really understand the central message that they're trying to get across. And then you could end up voting for the wrong person. You also may have a job which requires you to read manuals or to write manuals. And at the very least, you will have to read them. If you start to work for a company, they're going to give you a manual or either tell you to go online and read the manual. And if you don't understand the structure, you could end up misunderstanding policies or procedures or anything that might be important for you to know. So I know that it seems kind of silly, and I know that you think it's not that important, but it really is.
Okay, Miss Ligh. I guess you're right. I'll start trying harder. And I will try to determine the way the author structures text when I'm reading.
That is fantastic, Pete. Thank you. And you know what? When you're done, I might get you to help Mr. T because he's struggling too. Hi, everybody. We're going to talk today about text structure. Text structure is probably one of the most challenging things for readers to understand, and yet it is probably one of the most important things to understand because recognizing text structure is directly linked to the reading comprehension. So I must, as a reader, understand how the author is organizing this piece of text, this article, this story, in order to fully comprehend the theme or the plot or the main idea. So it's really important that we pay attention to how the author is, in fact, organizing his thoughts. Some writers may start with a flashback. For instance, in To Kill a Mockingbird, it starts with the character reflecting back, Scout, when she was young, and then moving forward to the present. However, a story might start with an exposition, which is just some background description, and then move into a conflict of some sort. There might be a sequence, or it might be a compare and contrast. So there are various different ways, and authors will oftentimes even mix. I may have a couple of different things within my text. I could structure it one way in this first part and another way in the second part. So it is, I think, easier than what you may think it is. I think we get hung up sometimes on the verbiage, but really it's just paying attention to how the author presents his idea, his or her ideas. So watch this video and hopefully you will learn a thing or two.
Hey Pete, I need some help. I'm really struggling here with understanding some things in my English class. Can you help me out?
be happy to help you out, Mr. T. What kind of questions do you have?
I really don't understand text structure, and some of the questions are so confusing. I mean, why do I need to know how someone structures the text?
Mr. T, think about it this way. Every time someone writes something, they're trying to tell you a story. And they go about it differently based on the type of story it is. So, for instance, if I was telling you about how I grew up, I might start at the beginning and move through to the end with where I am now. That means I would write in a sequence. But I could also use foreshadowing or flashback and start in the future, but then go back throughout the story. But I use that to create suspense or to get the reader into what they're reading.
So, what are the other ways that people structure text? Because some of these things that I have to read are really boring, and I'm not sure how they're structuring it.
Mr. T, listen. These are the basic ways that writers structure text. Either sequence, like I was talking about a minute ago, description, where maybe they're describing something in detail. This could be in a news article or maybe even in a story. Problem and solution is another way. Sometimes the writer will start with a problem and then revert to a solution. There's also cause and effect, where they'll tell you something going on and then they'll talk about the effects of what happened. And then occasionally you'll also read things that use compare and contrast. So there's really 5 main ways: description, sequence, problem solving or problem solution, cause and effect, and compare and contrast.
Oh my goodness, this is so confusing. So let me ask you this, Pete. Can an author use more than one way of structuring a text?
And they might start out with description, and then they might move into a sequence of events, or they might even move into a problem and solution. Usually you won't find too many types of structures altogether. Most of the time, writers stick with 1 or 2. But you just have to read carefully and see what they're talking about. Look closely at the text and look for certain words. For instance, if they say something like next or then, those are words that might show me that they're talking about a sequence of events. If I notice that they're describing things like, if I was describing you and your tall stature and your blue skin and your beard, I would recognize that maybe the author is using description. Or maybe you're telling me about a problem, like that poor little skull that's down there. You just have to read carefully and look for key words. I promise you, if you do that, it'll work out just fine for you, Mr. Pete.